All right, Brandon, we're back.
What is
Uh,
going on there?
yeah, what is going on? We are back for season two of our Lifting Nerds podcast. It's been a while. It's been a while, and just to update everybody, Happy New Year. And what are we here? What are we doing here today?
We're gonna be talking about some New Year's resolutions. I can even speak already.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
we're gonna be
right?
talking about New Year's resolutions. Still a
Yeah,
little rusty with these podcasts, but I'm excited to get back at them.
yes. And New Year's resolution. Just to give a little bit of background for everybody. The New Year's resolution has been around. It's been like, would you agree? It's been a tradition. Part aspiration, part tradition. That every New Year, everybody makes a New Year's resolution for themselves. And I would say, where did this come from? I would say this New resolution, is it serves like a secular marker of time, when everybody reevaluates themselves, and then they just set stuff for themselves to accomplish throughout the year. So that's why everybody just do starts setting goals for after the holidays. Was it after or before the holiday seasons?
Yeah, it's usually. I feel like it's usually after. I always do mine after, but I feel like
Right.
it's a way to reset too, because like so many people, like especially if they had like a bad year or something, they do it as a way of just kind of resetting everything and just kind of setting up their year and kind of reflecting on their past year. And it can be a pretty cool experience. Sometimes it can be a shitty experience if you had a really bad year.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's a nice way just to kind of refresh everything and just set yourself up for success for the next year.
I would agree. I would agree. So, what would you say, let's before anybody else, I haven't seen you since the first time we met, which was back in late October where in Calgary. So that's where the first and last time that I saw you finally in the flesh, which was exciting. And now it's been 3 months now since we've last met, and we caught up a little bit, but why don't you share with everybody else, what your resolutions are? What do you have, like, if you have any?
Yeah, so mine, the first main one is going to be to compete this year. With the past, I guess, 2, 3 years with the shows getting canceled and stuff, I just said, fuck it. I'm just taking 2 years off, putting on some size, getting my metabolism, my hormones into a good spot. So yeah, I've been working with Jeff Alberts, and we got 3 shows lined up for this year. Have the BC Cup in Kelowna lined up for the first show, April 1st. Second show is going to be the Vancouver show, the WMBF Vancouver show, which is, I believe, May 6th. And then depending on how I place there, if I do end up getting a pro card, I believe there's a show in Colombia that is like a pro show. So I'll just go there and just make sure I lock in that pro card. If I don't get a pro card at the Vancouver show, then I'll do the Kelowna show and see if I can get it then. So that's kind of the game plan for like competing. Another thing that I really want to do this year is get on YouTube a bit more. So I want to start vlogging everything. I'm just going to use my phone camera for right now because I don't really have a bunch of different cameras. And I just want to make it as simple as possible to get some content out there. And then I'll probably start investing in the cameras and stuff as I get more and more content out there. But I think for me, it's just a nice way just to get out of my comfort zone a bit more and just document my whole prep, what my experience is like in terms of training, nutrition, energy levels, relationships, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that will be fun to do.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. And it's been
What about
exciting.
you?
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's for you, 3 shows. I mean, that's quite a bit, and incredibly taxing for physically. But for sure, if you're the BC Cup's going to be exciting. The Vancouver show is going to be really competitive this year. I already know there may potentially be, besides you, there's potentially a couple of others of my friends who are also going to be competing there. It is where I'm staying, so hope let's get to meet the second time in the Vancouver show. I'm really psyched to see you there. Um, but yeah, man, I wish you the best of luck for the pro card, man. I really wish you could get that. You truly deserve that for that amount of education and the training and all that stuff, all the like good valuable stuff you release out there. I think you definitely deserve that. As for myself, as we spoke last time, we just competed. I just competed last year, so my goal right now, after speaking to judges and my coach, Brian Miner, as everybody, a lot of people know. So yeah, under the same team, with 3DMJ, we decided, to take an extended off season. We have a lot more development to be done. Getting a pro card is also one of my long-term goals. So in order to do that, then we're probably going to have to, spend a little bit more time just developing a lot more muscle size and things like that. So during this meantime, so bulking has got to be my main goal, and then the other side is I have some side projects that I'm really excited about. I don't want to give it away, so I'm just going to keep it at like that, and then we're going to use this extended time, just to get back financially from the preps that we've been in. But building my business would probably be another main goal of mine. Which of course, as much as I want to share, there's just some things I would just want to keep in the D-low right now. um, but yeah, so building my business and keeping having a longer off season and bulking, that's going to be my main goal. And for those who follow on both of us on Instagram, you can see bulking to 70 kilos. That's going to be my first short-term goal, and I think I'm around like 3 kilos away from there.
Nice, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Are you? How long are you planning to do your off season? Are you planning to do about 2 years or 3 years, or what are
three
you aiming
years.
for?
3 years.
Nice, dude. I think
Yeah.
that'll
So
be really good.
2025 is when I'm thinking about, maybe we could, compete again. I think it's more, using considering the time amount that I need to, post show, we could recover, and then we can actually start begin bulking. So that time frame, we're not really being very productive in the, quote unquote bulking. So that's going to be, I tend to, put on size a little bit slower than others. So I think it's really beneficial for the just the time. And Brian is a very big fan of extended period of off season. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like the whole team 3DMJ. They're really into like extended off season and having a longer duration prep where it's just, yeah, it's a super gradual process, having like a pre prep cut and stuff like that. How long did it actually take you to fully recover after your show? Like I know some people it takes them like 3 to 4 months, some people it takes like 3 weeks. How long did it feel like it took you to recover fully?
Honestly, I was actually considered the quicker ones. So I was really ready to go. The only thing that I would say I haven't fully recovered from in last month or and a half or so was the appetite. I
Okay.
I actually didn't have much cravings. Maybe the cravings and not really binging, but overeating didn't really last as long as I thought it would.
Nice,
Uh,
man. That's really good.
yeah, and then the weight can just slowly graduate. So it was kind of weird. Like everybody was expecting to, gain about 10, 20 pounds post show. And then my 1 week was like how we would ordinarily gain. So I only gained like what, a kilo to two. That was it. It's like nothing.
That's That's really, I think that has something to do with just how gradual the approach is. Because when I did my last competition prep before this one, when it got canceled, like we were quite aggressive because I was quite behind.
Yeah.
And like my rebound was actually quite bad. Like I think it took me like 3 to 4 months to recover. But like right now, I'm currently 177 and I feel like fine. Like my appetite's a little bit higher than usual. My irritability is a little bit higher, but like everything else is actually pretty well fine. So I think that my recovery time period would probably be not so long this time.
Yeah. So speaking of which, so I like how, we start, asking a little bit more, how we do this, how we do that. And then I think that also reflects to, a lot of some of our clients. We both have, quite a bit of clients who go through eating and all that stuff, through the Christmas and New Year's, everybody's going to parties and stuff like that. So do you have a couple clients, about their post holiday stuff?
Yeah, so typically with most of my clients, especially if they're just a bit more lifestyle clients, I try to give as much freedom as possible during the holidays, but still have a little bit of structure. Because I find with those kind of individuals, like you don't want to be completely restricted and like have to log everything when you're having like your Christmas dinners and New Year's nights and stuff like that. So having a bit more flexibility with that. In terms of like competitors, though, like that's where you still need to be logging those things, especially if you're close enough to your show. I was actually quite lucky. Like my coach gave me two refeeds on both those weekends, so I actually just combined the one refeed for the New Year's Eve. So I had, I think, what was it like, almost 1,000 extra calories pretty much on that day. So you can do little tricks like that where you can just have some refeeds where your calories are at maintenance for those specific days. But yeah, for a lot of my clients, I would just essentially have give them some basic tools in terms of going off of hunger cues in terms of like trying to avoid snacking through the holidays. Things like this just help so much in terms of just reducing the calories while still having some freedom and not having to track on those specific holiday days.
Yeah, I mean that I would totally agree on that. That's one of the good things about being a coach is, helping them approach on how to achieve their goals, which leads me, like as for, we have, a good amount of people who talk about, goals and stuff like that. And, what are that? Like goals, what are they? They're just things that you want to do, and there are I know there's like a lot of people who give up their goals within the first month of January. Usually that's when you start your New Year's quote unquote resolution. So how would you define what these goals are?
So typically there's like two different style of coach or goals when it comes to like setting up goals for the new year. There's the first one that is called like approach goals, and the second one that is avoidance goals. Approach goals is essentially making a goal of to actually add something in or to do something in the new year. So this could be like, oh, to start working out 3 times per week, or to start having protein in every single meal that you're eating. So something that you're kind of adding into your life. An avoidance goal would be the complete opposite. So you're trying to remove something. So this would be like stopping drinking altogether, or not eating carbs or something like that. So those are kind of the two different types of goals that a lot of people tend to try to achieve. But realistically, with the research, I actually got a lot of this information from the Mass article from like Eric Helms. He has like the Mass research review.
Yeah.
Um, but essentially, yeah, they've found that approach goals tend to work significantly better than the avoidance goals. And the approach goals are typically more paper towards individuals that just want to improve overall health, whereas the avoidance goals is from people with a mindset of just wanting to lose weight or wanting to lose body fat. But I find with the avoidance goal, when you try to restrict yourself from having something, if you tell yourself, "Oh, I cannot have alcohol," and if you have that written down on like your vision board or something like that, each time you like think about, "Oh, I cannot have this," you're gonna want it more, and you're gonna think about it more if you constantly see that goal put somewhere. So it tends to not work as well. Whereas if you have like an approach goal where it's something to add into your life, it is you're typically having more of a positive mindset around it. Whereas yeah, the avoidance goal, it's more of a negative mindset around it. So it's just there's just shown to be more success with that approach side of the goals.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to expand questions on, these two things. And obviously they're both very useful tools as, for goal settings for, ourselves or even for other individuals. And though approach goals, has been proven to be a lot more efficient compared to avoidance goals. But, when is it a good time to actually use avoidance goals, would you say?
Um, Typically, I still don't really try to think of these avoidance or like use avoidance goals just because I would try to replace, like, say, for example, if you want to stop drinking alcohol, maybe replace that with, oh, drinking diet pop when you're going out or something like that. Like, have like a goal to like add to it rather than think of it as taking something away. Because anytime you think about taking something away, it's a form of restriction.
Mhm.
And the more restriction we have, the lower our willpower is going to be. So I always try to make it so that it's more of a positive rather than a negative when it comes to the goal setting. So, like, yeah, you could probably see some success with avoidance goals, but I definitely wouldn't write those avoidance goals down because it's just going to constantly remind you of something that you can't have. But that's just my thoughts kind of around it.
Yeah, I think you also make a really good point on reframing the actual goal to be something, a lot more positive to your lifestyle than a negative. So I totally agree with that. So let's make I think there's a lot of, listeners who potentially might also have very similar goals who let's for instance, a very common New Year's resolution is to lose weight. Would you agree that would be something like a lot of people would probably have? So in terms of lose weight, I think what we're trying to like emphasize here is, instead of asking you, to eat less, do eat less, stop going like or like go less to like parties and have that stuff. How would you reframe this for some individuals who want have who have want to lose a little bit more weight for their New Year's resolution?
Yeah, I would reframe it as instead of, yeah, like trying to take those things away, I would reframe it as, okay, I'm going to add in working out 3 times a week. I'm going to be adding in fruits and vegetables. I'm going to be adding in protein. And yeah, when I am going out with friends, I'm going to be still having fun, still like doing whatever they're doing, besides just maybe minimizing or just yeah, putting it as having Diet Pepsi or having like a energy drink when you're out rather than having the alcohol. But you can, yeah, you can again, like I don't want to completely restrict alcohol from people's diet, especially if you're just doing this for a lifestyle. Because you can definitely have alcohol in your diet. You can still track it. It's its own kind of macronutrient, 7 calories per gram. Um, but obviously, having it in excess, it is going to start to create some issues hormonally with testosterone levels. When you are drinking, it actually does reduce your willpower too. So there are little things that you do have to watch for with alcohol. But again, just focusing on minimizing rather than completely cutting out, I would say is a big thing too.
Yeah, so very good, like very good information on like these two types of goals and how Brennan's trying to like make it like how you're trying to say like, approach goals is going to be a lot more approachable and more sustainable in terms of just removing stuff from your lifestyle. I really think that's going to be really beneficial. That type of mindset behind it. But I know there's a psychology behind the New Year's resolution. Is like people like how they talk about, these resolution is really encouraged by goal oriented than process oriented approach. So these two type of approaches. So that's why you would say it's a approach goals are a lot more efficient. It makes sense behind this with this psychological behind it. But like with that in mind, how would you would say these different goal settings are are different. I know there's a couple of different like there's people who really focus on the outcome, and there's also people who are focused on the whole process of the whole goal. So how would you differentiate with them?
Yeah, so essentially with outcome goals, this is going to be more so like the SMART goals. I actually used to use this with a lot of clients and stuff like that back in the day, where it's like the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic slash like time frame, where you're trying to have like a specific outcome within a specific amount of time. And the reason why this doesn't typically work as well as the process goal, and I was kind of going through the process goal before I kind of explained that. But the process goal is essentially the specific tasks that are going to help get you towards that goal. But there's no real way of like, yeah, there's just specific tasks that you're doing. So, for example, like eating protein in each meal, working out 4 times a week, maybe drinking 3 to 4 liters of water per day. So these are specific tasks that are more predictable that um, Whereas with the smart goals, you never know how your body's actually going to respond to a specific calorie intake, what your hormones are going to be like, and stuff like that. So when you say like, "Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds by this specific day," you may not get that specific outcome, and sometimes that can decrease people's motivation to keep going with their goals. So if you solely focus on the process goals, so the tasks, and you just kind of continue focusing on hitting those tasks um, each and every day, you're more likely going to get that goal. And you're not going to constantly think about the outcome. You're not going to be constantly thinking about, oh, but I'm not quite at this specific weight yet, or oh, I'm not quite losing this amount. Oh, I'm doing something wrong. Whereas if you're doing all those necessary tasks, eventually you are going to get to that end outcome, but that end outcome is never going to be 100% predictable. So it's just a better way of thinking about your goals and being in that different mindset, right?
Okay. So I'm just gonna pull back just a tiny bit on, what when you said, what outcome, SMART goals, so maybe some of them may or may not know, what does this SMART stand for?
So that's going to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic slash like relevant, and then time frames. So the specific would be like, what's the specific kind of outcome you want to achieve? So maybe it's like 10 pounds of weight loss, or well, I guess the measurable would be so specific would be weight loss, measurable would be 10 pounds, achievable would be like the amount of weight that is like quote unquote possible. And then there's like relevant, like is it actually relevant to you to lose that specific weight, or is it somebody else that is telling you to lose that weight? And then time frame is just the amount of time that you're giving yourself to lose that exact amount of weight. So I do believe that SMART goal, if it used just in a general sense, like, oh, I want to lose about 20 pounds within like the next like 3 to 4 months, or like maybe 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 months, is a good way of going about it. But if you're being super, super specific, with I need to lose exactly this amount, I find that can just get overwhelming and people can be like, start thinking they're not seeing as much progress as they need to be seeing. And they stop thinking about doing the actual task they needed to do to continue seeing results. But they just get discouraged because they're not seeing the exact changes that they're wanting to achieve.
Right, right. I totally agree. So as you did say, process goals there's definitely more a higher success than, within the outcome, given that you're, more focused on, that part of, your sort of quote unquote New Year's resolution, but what is, what type of mentality should people be, having or having behind this, their New Year's resolution? What is their mentality should be?
It should be, especially with your mentality, like you never want to be severely restricted to something, or you never want to have a black or white thinking when it comes to your goals. Like you want to have it on a spectrum. Like, oh, are you getting closer to your goal? Are you achieving some results rather than black or white of, oh, I'm not achieving this exact result right within this time period. Because again, our bodies are a little bit unpredictable. We can create or we can put ourselves into like a 3,500 calorie deficit per week where we're supposed to lose 1 pound per week, but we might not lose that much weight every single week. There may be some days where you lose like 1.5. There may be some weeks where you lose like half a pound. For example, with my competition prep, there's weeks where I'm losing like zero point 0.4. There's weeks where I'm losing zero point 0.5 with the exact same calorie intake, and like so there's a lot of yeah, just not having that black or white thinking when it comes to those goals and those outcomes. Because yeah, you cannot completely predict what's going to be going on with your life, how your body's going to respond to exact calorie intake. All you can predict or have control over is your specific things that you're doing to achieve the goal. So you have like all the control in the world to get your workout in, unless like obviously you get in an accident or something like that, then that's going to stop you. But you have way more control of you getting your workout in than you do at of you losing a specific amount of weight per week. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, what you're trying to tell our audience is basically do what you can control and just let life do its thing. Right? Yeah. So eat well, train hard, basically that's pretty, and then sleep more. So basically that what you can actually have within your control. I think that's a very important mindset to actually have. Like it's having specific outcome goals is good, but let that be a byproduct of the entire process of that. I think that also reflects us within even in contest prep. There's only so many measures we can actually, with so many predictions we can actually by in a per week basis. But I mean, some bodies respond better, some body does not. So I think that's a really good mentality to actually share with our audience. And how I think this is a really good start off episode to reintroduce um, workouts and how to set goals for this new year. I mean, it's still early in January, so I think everybody is still very heated from their new goals, to either lose weight or whatever your goals are this year. I hope you guys really, really get that with this, with Brandon's very, very smart mind, to share how we can actually, approach these goals, using, approach goals, rather than, avoidance goals, and then really focus on, process goals, the entire process of reaching your maximal potential. Yeah, I think that really, really well, summarizes, what we have actually spoken here today. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I would just say when it comes to competition prep, like same thing when it comes to placing. So many people are so focused on that outcome. Oh, I want to get this pro card. And like if you're solely just focused on the outcome and you don't really like and you hate the process, if you do one competition prep and like you don't get like that pro card, you don't get that first place trophy, then it's going to make it so that you don't like the sport anymore. You're not going to want to do it more. So like I find if you're somebody that is wanting to compete, enjoy the process, enjoy the discipline, learn some things like mentally from your body, from how you're responding to people and stuff during competition prep. Just view it as like just an experience, rather than just doing it only solely just to get that trophy. Because I found that's what kept me in this game so long. It's just like seeing things and enjoying the actual process of it, though it can get like super brutal at times, and irritability, hunger, and all that kind of stuff. Like you learn so much from yourself at these moments. So yeah, just enjoy that process, and no matter what the outcome is, just know that you put in all of your effort, that you did all the tasks that you needed to do to achieve your personal best.
Yeah, for sure, man. Man, really, really good episode here. I would think I'm going to close it out with just final stuff. So in this season two, we have upgraded our material. Well, not really material, but our platforms. So we besides on Spotify, as we did in season one, we are going to be on newer platforms as we have a new Instagram for all of our episodes starting from season two, which is at Lifting Nerds. If you could just find that, we'll share it. We also have this YouTube channel, which we're going to also upload this episode there as well. We have all the information in the description in the YouTube channel, as well as our Instagram handles and both of our Instagrams handles there if you want to check us out. Yeah, so this is going to be a new season, new material, new platforms, and that would be really, really good. Let's hope the really good things. Is there anything else you want to add before we close it out?
No, that's everything, man.
Awesome. So, okay. So we are going to be doing this every week. So yeah. So I think we'll hope to see you guys next week then.